Talking with people online taught me a lot about espionage. People are just a series of ones and zeros, structured in a way that makes them function. Some are coded better than others, and some, like you, have a lot of bugs that need to be worked out.
Are you calling me defective?
More like maladjusted. But I think a patch or two might be able to work that out. It's really hard for me to admit this, Captain, but she's the only piece of hardware I've ever run into that is beyond my full understanding. The engine subsystems alone would take me months to figure out. Then there's the ECM suite, the stealth drive reactors, which, by the way, are the only reason you managed to get away after trying to steal my half of the payload. You're lucky I got the loot back before you ran off. Otherwise, you probably would have pissed me off just enough that I'd feel the need to blow you out of an airlock for making me waste my time tracking you down.
Hold up a tick. You could do that?
Of course. If I can get access to a ship's mainframe, I've got a whole lot of different options when it comes to getting rid of someone. I could suck the O2 out of a room, or conversely, fill it with CO2 and choke them. I could lower the temperature to below freezing, start a massive fire, or even cause the pipe to explode and spray shrapnel into their vital organs. Although my personal favorite is flux inverting the threshold of the artificial gravity, causing them to slam extremely hard into the floor and then the ceiling, over and over.
I should have been much more afraid of you.
You should have been much more afraid of me. So...
We fucked.
Yep.
And it was awesome.
I'd have to agree. Then again, at the same time, if I had a list of things I will never, ever do in this life from about a year ago, and it's like you were a totally different person. You're far more considerate when your dick's inside someone. I felt like you actually cared more about getting me off than yourself.
Fortune, I practically grew up in a whorehouse. I can assure you the madam taught me the proper cocksmith etiquette of a gentleman.
Well, whoever taught you did a really good job, if you don't mind me saying. Opa Junta said he bought me a doll when I was really little. He thought I'd be excited, but I just left it in the corner of my room. After that, he brought me this huge pile of scrapped electronics. When he woke up the next day to check on me, my room was full of whirring sounds and the soft glow of monitor lights. I managed to take everything and create a working terminal. He said I was painting pictures and doing puzzles on the HoloNet. I don't think I even slept. He was so impressed after that, he got me a proper setup and asked if I could learn how to get inside bank systems. Code is written by people, and people are never perfect. There's always something you can exploit. So I did. I became very good at getting what I wanted, which was my father's approval. Bringing him money made that happen. Why do you think he named me Fortune?
You doing okay?
Captain, I'm never going to see my father again. I appreciate the concern, but the question is a bit pointless, don't you think?
Well, I'm here if you need to talk about it.
What's there to talk about? He may not have been the most virtuous person when he was alive, but he died a goddamn hero. And that's why we need to win. So heroes like him are never forgotten. Just think of all that's going to be lost if we don't get rid of the Imperium. When it comes to history, even though it's simpler than ever to preserve it, it's even easier to manipulate the truth.
I'll pour a cold one out for Opa Junta. He was a good cunt, and we'll all miss him.
Thank you, Captain. I'm sure you would have appreciated it.
You know, we never talked about how this whole revolution thing began.
I can't remember the exact moment, but I remember what I was doing when things started to change for me. I was planning a bank heist one day, and I was going over the ranges of their security camera systems. Naturally, one thing led to another. I tried a new camera feed, this time outside the bank. Then another one, this time down the street. Then another one inside a shop. I guess you could say I developed somewhat of a curiosity for observing. At first, I just hacked and cycled through random feeds throughout Prodigium, switching channels until I found something I liked. But sometimes I came across something horrible. I saw the Imperium's corruption and how it made people suffer. What really got me was how much suffering there really was, and how far it reached. Did you know that the galaxy doesn't even know about half the Imperium colonies? They keep everything under wraps until the settlement is deemed to be successful. But a lot of them never make it that far. If one fails due to some horrible mismanagement or even a natural disaster, the Imperium cronies at Kuso cover everything up, just so that people's faith in the Veil isn't shaken. You need to understand how my mind works, Captain. I always think in terms of logic and math. And an equation started forming in my consciousness. How many people did the Imperium hurt every day? How many did they kill? And what about the ones we don't know about? I'm not even talking about those colonies. I'm talking about regular, everyday citizens who disappear and are never seen again. The number astonished me. It fucking haunted me, man. I'm ashamed to say it, but I tried really hard to ignore it at first. I just didn't want to accept that it was happening. And I really didn't want to accept that I had the power to change it.
So that's when it started.
I tried talking to Oppa about the guilt I felt. But, come on, he was a chut. He basically told me as soon as you start worrying about the suffering of other people, you start to suffer yourself. I pretended that I understood, but I couldn't stop thinking about it. Doing nothing while so many lives were lost. It started to drive me crazy. Long story short, I tried to escape. It didn't go so well. I never even made it to the nearest spaceport. The desert's a pretty crappy place for a kid that's never been outside of a basement. After I came home, Oppa was a worried wreck. But he started to understand. All of the money I stole for him started going towards getting the revolution moving. That meant building more facilities, training myself, and planning my first series of cyber attacks on government targets. The rest is history.
Bloody hell! You managed to do all that on your own?
I may be good, but I'm not that good. I had help. But help is also the reason why I have those trust issues you may have noticed during our time together. Anyways, I'd rather not get into it right now.
You know what I was just thinking about? Our first job together.
If only it was our last.
Ah, come on! After everything we've been through, you're still sore about that?
You're lucky I needed someone to fly into the Volt Station in the first place. Too bad my usual guy was unavailable that week.
Sick?
Dead. He was practicing the run in a canyon and didn't quite get the turns down.
Yeah, I remember those were some fucking brutal angles. And I didn't even have the Phoenix back then.
I remember when a friend gave me your contact info. I looked up your record and couldn't believe how insane it was. It didn't seem real. For those accomplishments, your price just didn't make any sense. I checked for authenticity 3 times just to make sure you were legit and not some dipshit scammer.
Bet you felt guilty about that, eh?
No, I didn't. Because you were a dipshit scammer. The only reason your price was so low is because you fucked over so many people that no one wanted to work with you anymore.
To be fair, I mostly ripped off gangsters and other assorted assholes. Well, mostly.
What made you think you could get away with it?
I figured you were just some brat that was in over a head and needed a legit criminal like me to do your dirty work. By the way, why are you so casual about letting people see your face? Isn't keeping your identity a secret like rule number 1 of hacking?
It is, but there's no reason to hide your face when you don't have an identity. There's no record of my existence anywhere on the HoloNet. Also, I almost never leave my bases. Even when I do, this eyepiece can disrupt all facial recognition software. But actually, I prefer to show myself, because my face constantly makes people underestimate me. I thought a guy that wears panties over his head might understand that. But you also fell for it, now didn't you?
Shit! You're right.
Don't feel too bad. I've made the mistake of underestimating someone before as well. Didn't work out for me either.
Who?
Maybe some other time, Cap. I've got some diagnostics to run.
Everything okay? Demi said you haven't moved from your console in hours.
I received a message from someone today, and I don't know what to do. I'm afraid, Captain.
You? Afraid of someone?
I don't suppose you have any advice on how to deal with a crazy ex?
Oh, I see. You let someone get too close before you could see how fucking crazy they were. Is that right?
Something like that?
You know, I almost settled down with a girl in New Vegas. She was a good Sheila. Or at least she was, until I said we shouldn't get serious until we both got sober first. I tell ya, it's a hell of a thing when someone stabs you in the chest for a bottle they just broke over your head while telling you that you're the one with a drinking problem.
What did you do about it?
Well, I got stitches.
No, you get stabbed all the time. I mean, how did you get her to accept it?
I didn't have to. Fortune, she glassed me in front of the entire Navy Academy. They threw that psycho in prison so fast.
All right, but what would you do if she came after you again?
Probably run if we're being honest. People like that, they get this idea in their heads about who you are and how you're meant to be together and... fuck. It just doesn't matter how ridiculous it is.
I know what you mean. I can't take no for an answer.
Is this the guy that was helping you out with the revolution? Were you shacking up with him or something like that?
No, we weren't even... I mean, yeah, it's the guy, but we weren't... whatever. I don't know how I'm supposed to explain something so crazy I don't even understand it.
Are we gonna have to kill this bloke or what?
Captain, let's just hope it doesn't come to that. Give me a bit of time to figure out our next move. I don't want this crap getting in the way of our mission right now.